Adrian, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
So we're here to talk about rookie season. Obviously, is your correct me if I'm wrong, your first feature length film.
It is. It is.
Tell me a little bit about how exciting that is, because I know you've done other things for other car companies before, but now to being able to take that and put it into like a feature film.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I, truth be told, have wanted to do for a number of years, and it took a couple of years to actually make it happen. Just the planning process of it, approaching, getting the right teams, the right players in place. Had to hear a lot of no's from a lot of teams, but we got the one that mattered and made it happen. Yeah, I've been working full time as an independent filmmaker for several years, mostly doing motorsport stuff. I have some other clients outside of cars, but it's primarily auto racing. That's my bread and butter. But yeah, I mean, the film is really a passion project of mine at its core, and still really is. I think, which is why it's been really successful because it wasn't watered down or impeded by maybe some of the things that might happen if you have a real big team together or a studio kind of dictating
Mm.
certain items. But I mean, it's a true indie at heart. Yeah, I mean that's it in a nutshell.
Tell us a little bit who we follow in rookie season because I had a couple of follow-up questions afterwards.
Sure. Yeah, no, of course, of course. So obviously you have the two co-drivers, Frank Depew and Robin Liddell. Frank Depew is the team owner, and he's an amateur racer. And this in the film, it's his first season stepping up to the pro level of racing. Robin Liddell has been racing for a number of years. He's a consummate pro, won a ton of championships and races, and he serves actually a lot of roles. He's obviously Frank's co-driver. He's the team manager as well, so he handles all the things in terms of the team behind the scenes, and he's also Frank's driver coach. So normally on a larger racing team or a more traditional racing team, those would be three different people who would
Mhm.
occupy those roles potentially. But Robin sort of wears those three hats, and it makes for kind of an interesting story arc. So you're not just focusing on him as a driver behind the wheel, but all his responsibilities behind the scenes as well, and then obviously the whole crew of the team, which is a number of guys. All the mechanics, the engineers, even the guys who drive the rigs cross country.
So what was really interesting to me is that it tells such a captivating story, specifically about two races where they're victorious. So my question is, how do you approach a film like this, not knowing what the results are going to be, and do you like set different paths from the beginning depending on what the results are in the end? Because you cannot script the real races, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. Well, talking about the script that actually played out, I mean, you couldn't have wrote a better one. After the first three races this season, to be honest, I didn't think I was going to have a film. It was pretty dire to start. But to answer your question, the film, before I even started, I knew the film was never going to be about race results. So regardless of what happened, I always knew I'd have a film. And my filmmaking style and preferences really always lean more towards getting inside people's heads. And it's really the exact opposite of everything you see on broadcast TV as it comes to racing. It's not, how did the car perform? It's not what could we have done differently with the tires. It's not thanking the fans and the saying hi to the family at home and the sponsors. It's really always was going to be a more introspective type of film. And the question that I posed myself, which served as the core building block for everything I did, was what is it to race? And why do you race? Right. And pretty simple questions, they seem, but really hard to answer for a lot of people. And we're not talking about, I race because it's fun and it's adrenaline, but sure, it's fun and there's a lot of adrenaline, but why do you like that? And then it's really like getting deeper and deeper and deeper to the core building block from which all else springs. So that was always going to be the heart of the film, and Robin's narration and Frank's narration really drives that. The fact that the season worked out the way it did was just an added bonus, right? I mean, it was an incredible story. So we got to tell both the story of a season that honestly will probably never happen again. I mean, some of those finishes in those races I've never seen, and I've been following motorsport since I was a kid. But we also get to tell that introspective story where it's like really trying to get inside the minds of these people to find out what makes them tick and why they do this.
And I think what I noticed right off the bat is just the way you allow viewers to experience what they're experiencing, and just don't, you know, pictures say 1,000 words. In this case, videos say so many more. And every now and then, when the narration is necessary, or just to add, obviously, little bit more information, that's when the narration of the two comes in. And I think that it really added, kind of almost putting you next to the driver, and it made it a little, for me at least, it made it really a lot more thrilling also, and very stressful at times.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about your process in capturing those moments, and how you did that? Because it's very, very well done.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. And if the audience is stressed at points throughout the film, that is good. That is a good thing. I think my goal was always to be a fly on the wall. I never wanted really any eye contact from people, and I kind of talked to people in the beginning. I said, look, like, I know it's hard at first, but pretend I'm not here. Like, I don't want anybody to know I'm here. I want this to all be candid stuff. And, I think after a few races, the team really genuinely did get used to my presence. And there were a few times where I actually was just kind of hanging around filming, and they didn't even know I was there, which is the best kind of stuff we can hope for as a filmmaker, because, it's just completely candid. And that was the majority of the film, which is really great. I think I'm wandering a bit from your original question, but if you could remind me and get me back on track.
Actually, that was part of the question.
Yeah,
Is just
right.
your method in filming.
Right, the method in filming. Yeah, apologies. So I kind of trusted my gut throughout the process, because, as you know, I didn't really have, I didn't have a team to do this. So I was responsible for all the cameras in the car, the audio in the car, the camera I was carrying around, recording the team radio. And then in addition to all those technical challenges of where do I be when, we're also talking about trying to predict things that may happen in the race. Because if the car crashes out, you got to be there to capture that. When are they coming in for their pit stops? Is this going to be a good pit stop to capture? Do they have a chance of winning this race? Where should I be? Should I be in pit lane? Should I be out in the field somewhere? So yeah, there was a lot of that going on. And I think, combined with my past experience of having been at racetracks, it really helped me kind of predict where to be when. And thankfully, I really didn't miss out on any opportunity because of that. And then also just trusting my gut, even down to technical specs. Are we shooting this at 120 FPS? Are we doing this normal speed? Are we ramping up the shutter speed to make it a little bit more like during the pit stops? And I just kind of had a feeling, and I just went with that. And a lot of it is really just based on intuition and my gut telling me this is really the right thing to do, or this is where I should be.
Well, it came out great. I thought that it was really, really clever the way that it's all put together. Can you talk a little bit about that finish that we see in the film, and how you felt there capturing it, saying, "Oh my God, like, did this really just happen?"
Yeah, in the rain, you mean the one
Yes,
that
that
yeah,
one.
yeah. So yeah, so I mean, without divulging too much for people who haven't seen the season, I mean, yeah, that absolutely incredible finish. I've never seen a driver. I think Robin ended up passing about 15 cars in the last 15 minutes. I mean, we're talking about in the pouring rain. They're going 150 miles an hour, visibility almost zero. I mean, you could barely see the taillights in front of you, and he's just trusting that the car is going to be there for him. It was quite the ride. And I mean, I got extremely emotional, and I really welled up with emotion on the inside when I found out that was what was happening. And it's an interesting thing as a filmmaker, because you want to be there with the team, and you want to jump up and down, you want to celebrate, you want to scream. And there actually maybe even in a few scenes, there may even be a little bit of my voice in there, sort of in the background, which is an accident, but it kind of works. But then you have to be like, I'm here to film, and I can't be bouncing around when I'm trying to film this scene, because it may seem normal to you at the time, but then to everybody else sitting down watching the film, they're like, why is this camera work so horrible right now? So it was a bit of a mixed bag, but I still did really get to celebrate in my own way while capturing it. So I was extremely emotional while capturing those scenes. And then you do get to celebrate with the team at the end of the day, when you can say, you know what, I put the camera down, we're going out, we're going out to dinner, having some drinks, getting some food, and we're really going to recap the day. So yeah, it was different being there, working. But honestly, a filmmaker's dream, really, just to be able to have that content to capture.
Yeah, I think that's what I liked a lot about it, was thinking of, because that's why I love sports, because you can't script some of the stuff that
No, I know.
happens. some of the things you like, if you put it, if somebody wrote it, they're like, no, that can never happen. Yet we see that season and season sport where just, in a way, kind of miracles happen and everything just lines up. And I think for your film, I'm very happy that it worked out this way.
Yeah, no, me too, me too. And I mean, it did. It was what it was, and it's amazing that I was there to capture it, and everything worked out, and now it's kind of immortalized in film, which is pretty cool.
And I know you said that you spent a lot of time beforehand at racetracks before, but what were some of your biggest takeaways from spending this entire season with this team?
Yeah, the well, number one, the I always knew in theory, but the amount of time you spend traveling and in hotels and away from home is a lot. I mean, I was doing this film at the time, and I was also doing other client work. And between the two, I was on the road about 2/3 of the year, just
Oof.
straight up, not at home. So the travel is a lot, and after a while, travel. And I've been doing it for a number of years now, but so travel is fun at first, and then it gets a little exhausting. Just the airports all the time, the hotels, but you get your routine down. You kind of land, you set up, you find your local places, and then you get your routine for the weekend. So that was a big takeaway, the travel and what that takes out of you. Also, just sort of, I don't know what it takes to. I learned a lot about being more of a thoughtful interviewer. How you can sort of sit down with someone, because all the voiceover from Robin and Frank, and this was a decision I made. I didn't want any talking heads. I didn't want someone sitting in a chair, kind of looking, off camera. I wanted it to be more like cinema. And so we sat down in a number of hotel rooms, and I had a relationship with Robin, but even still, I think I learned a lot about how to, set someone at ease and really have more of a conversational interview, and try and get the best out of someone in that sense, because it's not always easy. It's obviously asking the right questions, but also how you ask them, and the energy you give off affects what they give back as well. So I think those were two big takeaways.
Yeah, you're right, definitely, because some of the answers that they gave you, which are in the film, are very personal. The why do you love racing, and they can give you a very blank answer, but I think they really went and dug deep to, this is the reason why I love it. This is what it does for me as a person, where I can't function in the real world in these ways. When I'm in the car, I can do these things.
Yeah.
And you can only do that by being a great interviewer. And you did a great job.
Thanks. Yeah, and they didn't always like it at times. I was a little pushy, but especially with Robin. But it worked out in the end. Yeah, he always told me. He said he found the interviews difficult, and he didn't know if he was giving good stuff. And I'm like, honestly, some of the best stuff I've gotten from any driver ever. He's really really cool, and both the drivers were honestly able to be very insightful, which was honestly a first for a lot of the stuff I've done. Yeah.
Being that this was the rookie season for this team, being able to, or if they've even seen it, have they seen the film, and what was their reaction?
They have, yeah. I mean, everybody's just been loving it. I mean, I've the support and the positive feedback that I've received, not only from friends, family, and the inner circle of the team, it's just been incredible. And I mean, that's really at its core talking about why do you do what you do. I mean, that's why I make films. I mean, I don't do it for the fame and the money or whatever else. It really is to share my vision with people. And the best thing that can happen is when someone comes to me, like you said, and you're like, wow, that gave me chills. That was really cool. I really enjoyed it. With this, someone comes to me with a smile on their face, and it's just, I mean, that's priceless. That really motivates me and drives me, and makes me very emotional that I could have an impact on someone else through what I create. So yeah, the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive, which has been amazing. And it's just interesting because I knew the film was going to be good. I believed in it, right? I knew I was going to create something that was unique and introspective and powerful. But as a filmmaker, you get so close to it, and it's hard sometimes to step back and view it like others would view it. You look at your work. I look at my work pretty harsh, and I'm my own biggest critic. So to
Mhm.
have other people tell me they really enjoyed it and what they enjoyed about it is always a welcome respite from a lot of that, self criticism in a way.
It's a great film, and I hope a lot of people get a chance to see it, especially if you're into racing. It's a very very easy film to get into, just because of the point of view that you offer, and the insight of just uh how personal and at times very very dangerous it can be.
Yeah, no, it can. I mean, we forget that. I mean, the cars are a lot safer these days, but things do happen, and it is, at the end of the day, it is a dangerous sport, can be.
Adrian, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it. Like I said, great film. And tell me a little bit about where people can find it.
Yeah, so it's going to be in theaters on February 25th, all across the country. I think we're doing US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and maybe even the UK. So February 25th onwards in movie theaters. We're doing a little advanced preview down across from Daytona International Speedway this Friday, which is really cool. So if you're local to Florida, check that out for sure. And then
Nice.
I believe April, we're doing like a global digital release. So streaming services, rent it on iTunes, Google Play, ad-based platforms, the works. So it's going to be digital in April and in theaters February 25th.
Adrian, thank you so much for your time again. And I hope to see you again on more films like this.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time, and hopefully talk to you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care.
All right. Take care.